Good to have you. Over 2.8 million registered voters in Anambra State are voting today to elect a new governor or renew the mandate given to the incumbent Charles Soludo. INEC says 2,802,790 voters are eligible to cast their ballots across 330 or 26 wards in the state. Activist and current affairs analyst Auwal Musa Rafsanjani joins us now for a discussion about the ongoing election in Anambra State. Auwal, it's good to have you with us as always.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Nigerians.
Very good. I'm sure you must have been following the Anambra elections. It's around a little after 12 noon at the moment. So what are your thoughts from the reports that has been broadcasted over the election so far?
So Center for Democracy and Development, CDD, has deployed observers in various parts of Anambra State where this election is going on. And, so far the report we are getting from various observers indicates that some places, especially in the early, time of the voting, recorded some low turnout. But as the election goes on, some places are also getting more voters coming to vote. Secondly, so far we have not recorded so much of destruction, or disruption of the election. I think election is going smoothly in many parts of the places that voting had commenced at the early hours of the election. So we are hoping that we should not record so much anticipated violence that people were scared of, in this election. If the election goes on in the manner that we are seeing, probably we may not see the anticipated violence. However, in some places we also saw open vote buying. Nigerian politicians, they will not learn lesson. They will always engage in this vote buying. Sadly, in some places, our observers have noted vote buying, hopefully even canvassing for vote of some political parties. These are challenges that we continue to experience in our election exercise in Nigeria. Despite the fact that CDD had actually carried out massive voter education to ensure that the issues of vote buying did not continue to dominate our election, space, but we are still experiencing, instances of vote buying. CDD also embarked on massive, voter education and sensitization to ensure that voters are not allowed to be used to engage in violence, and political parties that are supposed to complement to such kind of effort. We did not really see that much, effort from their own side. All that they are interested is grabbing the power or, retaining the power. So these are challenges that civil society organizations in Nigeria continue to face despite the challenges of resources. But because we are committed to ensuring that we have peaceful, free, fair, and credible election in Nigeria, we continue to engage different stakeholders, from the political parties to the INEC, to the security, to the voters themselves. And, we are hoping that this election should serve as an opportunity for the other, off-cycle election to be conducted in the manner that will not be too much of a problem, for us.
Now, Mr. Rafsanjani, I know that there are over 2.8 million registered voters. So I'd like us to talk about the voter turnout. How would you assess that, especially young people and first-time voters?
So, although there was there was a confirmation from INEC that 98% of the voters have collected their PVC, but on today's election, we cannot ascertain that we are going to have such, massive turnout by the voters. This is because of the previous incident that has happened, which was weaponizing the insecurity that is likely going to happen. So some people were afraid to actually show up because of this fear that there might be attack from unknown gunmen and other violence group. So that may account why some places did not turn out. Secondly, from the CDD assessment, also from the perspective of gender, women are also scared, many of them, because they did not know how it will turn out in terms of ensuring that they are not attacked, they are not bullied by some voters. So there was a background report that CDD conducted to look at the landscape, and then today we are actually seeing some of this in manifesting. Like I said, even though we did not so far at the early hours recorded huge violence, but there are some few places where you see some also disruption and then normalcy coming back. So far for now, looking at the historical incident of election in Anambra, from the morning to this afternoon, you could say maybe perhaps it might not be the way it used to be. And I think this is simply because the usual intimidation and harassment of the federal might that used to happen, maybe because of the incident that is going on now with the America and Nigerian government, maybe that, has not provided avenue for maybe the federal might to appear in the manner they used to appear, where you see they deploy thousands or if not hundreds of personnel, which subsequently intimidates the voters from coming out to vote. So hopefully we may not see such incident happen.
Now, Auwal, you've heard all the reports from our correspondent who are on ground in Anambra State, and they say the process is going on smoothly. The voters, well, not too sure about the voter turnout, but it seems that they're a bit worried that we do not have as much security presence as would have been expected, given the history that Anambra State has with such elections. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I think we must also commend, the voters and also they are resolute to ensure that they are not used for violence, once again by the Nigerian, politicians. However, we have also observed and noted, the politicians still, weaponize poverty to attract the voters. You can imagine in places like Orumba, South local government in Omanze, Ward 2, politicians are even sharing just as small as 1,000 naira to voters. And there are quite a number of votes where our observers have observed that, people are giving like 7,000 naira, some even 7,000, and some they are even sharing moi just to weaponize, poverty to attract, voters. So, but that's that one. Secondly, I think the issue of having security, first and foremost, I think we have seen even in some places where election took place with minimal presence of Nigerian police. For example, in Kano, we saw the Kano State, local government election. The police were not there, but election took place, and there was no record of that violence as being expected. I think it is important that the Nigerian people, understand the need to have a peaceful conduct of election. Even if you have the army, the soldiers, if people still want to do violence, it will still happen. But I think in this instance, even though the background research and the consultation and information gathered by so many groups suggests that there might be fear of violence because of the activities of unknown gunmen. But we are lucky we did not record such incident. So Anambra people are determined to ensure that the bad name associated with electoral violence do not continue to dominate or to prevent legitimate voters in Anambra State to vote. And this is also a challenge to the Nigerian police that, look, if you are present, is still creating atmosphere for violence, and then you are present that is not there now, election is going smoothly, then some people will begin to ask, what is it that, is making the heavy presence of the security to amount to also having violence? I think for me, the determination of some forces, especially at the federal level, to ensure that it is their own person, that must, be declared winner, whether he wins or he didn't win, or she wins or she didn't win, is what is prompting such kind of also violence. And I think I must commend, civil society organization and media for this intensity of a campaign against electoral violence, even though we witness still vote buying, but at least not the way it used to be done, where people move with vehicles, sharing a large chunk of money, but now they do it, maybe secretly. And I think the role of EFCC in ensuring that they do not spare anybody sharing money has minimized maybe perhaps that incident, even though we still recorded those kind of incident happens. I think, it is important that voters, whether in the election that we are having in Anambra, understand that the more you engage in electoral violence, the more you are the victim, because those who sponsored the violence and their children, they are not going to be arrested and they are not going to suffer the consequences. But you that you are given just peanut to come and disrupt the election, to come and engage in electoral violence, you are the one that when you are even arrested, they would say they don't even know you. So I think people are getting smarter now, and I hope that we can capitalize on what happened between the morning hours of this election to this hour with minimal experience of electoral disruption or violence. If we conclude this election with that kind of experience, I think we will definitely have a change in the electoral landscape of violence in Nigeria that we can also amplify in other places. So I want to salute the Anambra people for being resilient and being calm and ensuring that they did not engage in electoral violence that will disrupt the early hours or even the end of the thing. But more importantly, we want to appeal that at the end of the day, because the election time is just one form of violence, and after the election is also another potential trouble. So we are appealing that as we are going into this election up to this hour more peacefully, more calmly, we are hoping that the number of voters, they should also ensure that after the result is announced, they should not be engaged in anything that will create chaos in Anambra State, so that Anambra people will continue to be an example of a state that has been anticipated to have crisis, but no crisis because of the collective resolution from the voters and the people of Anambra State. I think for me, this will really be a good case to showcase to other places that we are going to have off-cycle election and even the general election in 2027.
All right, in other cases, Auwal, do you think this is a big litmus test for the new INEC chairman? Like your thoughts on that?
Well, he's just lucky that people are tired of violence, probably, in Anambra, and he came at a time when the whole country attention now is focusing on how to respond to the United States threat. I think that has played a role because the Abuja politicians, their minds now is concentrated on how they can respond to this threat and also, show that they are not what maybe perhaps the American president is portraying them. I think that is one thing. In everything there's positive and there's negative thing on it. I think for me, the militarization that you usually see from the federal might may have, not seen in Anambra election because of this very important factor that, the country is trying to respond to ensure that a proper, account of what is going on in Nigeria is being provided, So maybe perhaps that may be one factor. And like I said, people are also tired of violence, because there's no profit in violence. So many people are tired of that. And I think, the Anambra people want to really get out of this quagmire of, tainted name of associated with electoral violence. And I think this time around they are resolved not to really allow such kind of scenario. And of course, with the tremendous work done by civil society organizations like CDD, TMG, IAGA, and so many people, Situation Room, so many people that have invested enormous resources to, engage the voters and the people in Anambra, I think for me, may have paid up, positively to what we have seen so far for now.
Now, Auwal, some analysts are worried that though the process seems to be going smoothly at the moment, rigging might actually take place during the collation process. So I'm just wondering if there are measures in place to safeguard the integrity of this election.
So the voters have done their best, and so far for now, we appreciate the peaceful conduct and calmness. Now, the issue of rigging is about the institution. Now, if INEC official and those other, collaborators decided to betray this calmness, this peaceful atmosphere, then we should hold them, accountable for that, because the people did not announce the result. It is the INEC responsibility to ensure that they announce the result based on the fact, based on evidence base of what has actually happened in the voting in the place. So again, it is the responsibility of the INEC to be responsive and responsible. It is the responsibility of INEC, collaborators like the police, like even the judiciary. If all of these institutions do the right thing, I am telling you, we will say bye-bye to electoral violence in this country. So it is a collective responsibility, and INEC should just not, make a mistake of doing things that will trigger people to go and do things that are not good. So if every stakeholders, the INEC, the police, the judiciary, in the event that some people have gone to court, and the political parties and the voters generally, if everyone plays his or her role responsibly, honestly, I think we will be able to, say bye-bye to all this outcome of electoral violence. Like you know very well, peaceful election on casting vote is one thing. Announcing the result and accepting the real result is another thing. And how this institution are able to do the right thing what will determine how we will be successful in the conduct of this election.
All right. Auwal Musa Rafsanjani, current affairs analyst, would like to thank you very much for your thoughts on those issues. It's good to have you with us on this special edition of Newsday.